I call the honourable member Nikki Kay.
Mr Chair, last night we passed the first reading of the Marriage Equality Bill. Members walked into this House and said they believe in equality. This bill focused on rights and freedoms. I do accept that occasionally this Parliament does pass legislation that discriminates people with regard to age. But as someone who values freedom, I believe the evidence must be there and the threshold must be high. Let me be very clear. I believe we need tougher alcohol laws in this country. I believe New Zealand's alcohol laws are far too loose. Most of us in this House believe there needs to be culture change in this country. Where we differ is how we do that. Where we also differ is what the combination of policies are that are needed to reduce supply to minors, restrict overall supply and improve enforcement. The rest of the alcohol reform bill will be debated in the coming months. Today we are going to have a vote on one provision focused on a change to the purchase age. Last night, thousands of young New Zealanders tuned in on social media and Parliament TV. Many of them have expressed huge pride in the vote last night. Some of them don't realise that within hours of Parliament empowering young people, Parliament is now at risk of restricting the freedom of young New Zealanders. As I said before, I could accept that if the evidence was clear that youth drinking had been reduced since the age was lowered. Surveys taken between 1997 and 2010 show that under 18 drinking has been dropping by over 45%. 2006 ALAC research found 53% of 12 to 17-year-old were drinkers, but by 2010 that had reduced to 32%. That is a relative drop of 40% in terms of prevalence rate in the last 5 years. So I want to be clear again. I believe in reducing youth drinking. I just believe that there are greater provisions to achieve that. And I also want to be clear that if we look at the alcohol reform bill, those provisions focus on the restriction of supply with regard to convenience stores and dairies. They focus on targeting young people in terms of advertising and restrictions around advertising provisions. They also focus on the falsification of ID. These are effective measures that target and restrict supply to young people. Probably one of the most significant things in the bill that, in my view, will reduce the ability of young people to get access to alcohol is actually the express consent provision. Because what does the overall evidence show again? Where do most young people learn to drink from? Their parents. And where do most young people get alcohol from? Their parents and family members who are over 20. And I want to say as well, when we look, and Kevin Haig pointed this out, when we look at the proportion of young people and where they get the alcohol from, 92% get it from people over the age of 20. These are very clear statistics from the ALAC monitor. This is very clear evidence that rather than parliamentarians walking into this House and, in my view, voting for discriminatory legislation that disproportionately blames 18 and 19-year-olds for a wider cultural issue in New Zealand, you need to vote with your heads and vote for provisions that will make an actual difference in terms of the restriction of supply. I want to touch briefly on the split age. I believe it is confusing and could have serious unintended consequences. For rural kids, where is their transport? Rural kids are being told that they need to go into town and drink. Well, that is going to, in my view, lead to an increase in drink driving, and that is a serious unintended consequence. I also want to be clear that in terms of raising the age to 20, let's think about how this may undermine the rest of the bill. The rest of the bill is focused on targeted provisions to anyone who supplies to a minor without parental consent. Do we really think that 18 and 19-year-olds are not going to have unsupervised access to alcohol? The thousands of young people that are around the country in our universities, are they going to call mum and dad when they want to have a drink? Do we really think all of those 18 and 19-year-olds that are working currently are going to ring mum and dad when they want to have a drink? I believe that the split law is confusing and could have serious unintended consequences. But I also believe that if you can marry, if you can go to war for your country, and if you can be elected to this Parliament, then you have the ability to be able to have a drink. Mr Chair, I support keeping the purchase age at 18.
I'm going to call the honourable member Megan Woods.
Chairman, and I'm very happy to take a call on this. It is fair to say that we